Alright guys, so we're going to continue to follow Willow as she goes through this transition into really being a part of this new foster family. So we're going to start here with chapter 30. It was dark nowadays when Dell got home to the gardens of Glenwood. The only greenery in the apartment complex was the courtyard, and there was a circular patch of red volcanic chips that hurt Dell's feet even when he wore thick-soled shoes, and he was trying to take a shortcut to the always strange-smelling stairwell. The pumice rock minefield was dotted with stubborn weeds armed with sharp thistles, which poked through the cheaper layer of thin black plastic under the brick-colored lava bits. The thorns caught Dell's exposed fleshy ankles and drew dots of blood. There were no natural glens in all of Bakerfield. It was a flat, dry place made green only by sprinkler systems. Maybe that was why so many apartment complexes around town were named for ferns and wet and wooded sanctuaries. It was an expression of yearning of a moisture-challenged climate. At least that's what Willow had told him when she first asked where he lived, and he responded, he had to admit with puffy pride, the gardens of Glenwood. Now he took the stairs to a second-floor unit because the elevator, which was required by law, never worked. Dell tried in desperation to add up the events of the long and challenging month. A week after the accident, as he predicted, his supervisor asked to see his file on Willow Chance. Dell may have found the missing kid on the day she left Mercy Hospital, but he wasn't a hero for long. Now, weeks later, he was afraid, and he could admit that at least to himself. He had given Willow practice exams in everything from the required 3-hour test for application to medical school to 14 of the SAT Subject 2s, and she aced them all. But he had made the decision not to hand those materials over. What he sent to his boss was a simple electronic form that revealed next to nothing about the girl. Somehow, he had been caught up in so many layers of deception. Willow Chance wasn't a cheater. Patty Nugent wasn't an old family friend. The Nugents didn't live in the gardens of Glenwood. Why couldn't they use their own address, by the way? He didn't homeschool her like he was supposed to do, and he had never been committed to being any sort of counselor. Willow walked from the nail salon to the district offices on Tuesdays. She was always on time. Instead of taking any tests or analyzing the stock market, the two now sat in silence. Dell tried to think of things to motivate her, or at the very least ease her distress, but so far he had been a failure. Yesterday, Willow had come in, and for 45 minutes, which seemed like 45 hours, Dell worked on a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle of bowls of jelly beans. Willow didn't place a single piece, and he knew she wasn't even trying. And he was really bad at puzzles, so it was a struggle in all ways. After she had gone, Dell opened his computer and wrote up a report. He knew now that he was being observed, and if there was one thing Del Duke understood, it was that he didn't do well under scrutiny. He had made a mistake by ever getting involved with this genius kid, because it was a lot easier to do his job and not care about anything, and now he cared about everything. Listen to how Dell is changing here. Patty Nugent hadn't enrolled in any of the necessary classes for foster parenting. She didn't even go to one of the group sessions that had been offered. She intended to, but somehow more than 4 weeks had passed, and she had yet to do more than check in with Lenore Cole, who was Willow's social worker. As the darkness of the autumn sky pressed through the glass of the salon, Patty looked down at her calendar. A hearing had been set in family court, and a judge would make the determination about Willow in the next 2 months. But Patty decided that today wasn't the time to think about the future. Today was the day to order more shades of red nail polish. She found a new catalog from her most reliable supplier and circled a shade that she thought Willow would approve of. It was called Well Red. Just doing that made Patty feel marginally better. Chapter 31. Vietnamese is spoken here. I can understand the manicurist, even the ones who talk fast. They never whisper back and forth about their customers' nails. They talk about their lives. While they file and buff and paint, I hear their stories, which are nearly all about husbands and children and other family members. Most of them are related to one another, cousins and sisters and mothers and daughters-in-law. They are a tribe. They don't know that what I hear is hurtful, because even as they complain about bad men or lazy kids, the pain for me is seeing how they are so connected to one another and to their families and to the world. And these women wrap themselves up in stories from the minute they walk through the glass door until the second they leave at the end of the day. They use words to build something that is real as cloth. And while they complain in lower voices about one another, they are joined by blood and circumstance and shared experience. They are part of something bigger than themselves, even if they don't realize it. I do. I have seen trees that survive fire. Their bark is burned and their limbs are dead branches, but hidden under the skeleton is a force that sends a single shoot of green out into the world. Maybe if I'm lucky that will one day happen to me, but right now, I can't even see it. Patty is at the front desk, and everything in here is white. The reception area, the manicure chairs, the floors. White equals clean, and I'm pretty sure that with the exception of the red color, Patty would be pleased if every other shade in the world disappeared. That's how she sees things. She has schedules and rules and methods, and every day she does her best to impose these on the world, one chipped fingernail repair at a time. My mother used the old expression, there's a place for everything and everything should be in its place, but she didn't practice it. Patty does. I would say that with the exception of me sitting in the back of the salon, she's winning the battle. Patty is adding up something on a calculator when the phone rings, and she says, "Hello, I hear today?" I look over because now I'm an expert in her voice, and while it wasn't even unemotional, I still heard something different in it. The person on the other end of the phone line is doing all the talking. Patty shoots a look to the back of the salon, and our eyes connect. This must be where the call where she officially gets rid of me. I hear her say, "I work until 6:30. Patty looks out the window. She's struggling now. I'm going to make this easy for her, so I get up from my spot in the back and I fold up my furniture pad and close my computer and I take off my glasses. I take a deep breath. I know that I've been nothing but a problem. I've tried to be invisible, but just my presence here has changed the dynamic of the situation. Kwang Ha was mad before, but now he's a volcano. When we cross the alley at night into the garage, Mai puts on a good front, but even she seems tired of the whole arrangement. I need this to be easy for Patty. She's been good to me. So I turn to face her and I do my best to smile. I want to smile to say that I'm grateful for what she's done for me. I want to say that I'm sorry for being broken. I want to say that I really understand this situation, so I'm trying. I really, really am. But my teeth stick to my lip and my whole mouth quivers, and Patty sees my creepy grin and turns away, and I hear her voice say, "We won't be there until 6:45. Is that too late?" Patty hangs up and right away dials a number. Even her disposition is one of her best qualities, and she's maintaining it, sort of. Maybe that happens when you've been through a lot. All of your edges are worn off like sea glass. Either that, or you shatter. Bakersfield is 130 miles from the Pacific Ocean, but twice I drove to the beach just outside of Santa Maria with my parents. There was a short period of time when I was obsessed with the study of the ocean, since it takes up more than 70% of the planet. But on the 2 times we went to visit, I was afraid. The unpredictable current and the vast, complex systems of wildlife that reside beneath the churning waters gave me hives, literally. I was a body of bumps. So I admire Patty's composure. I knew that my time here would not last long, and today was proof. I always find myself waiting for bad news now, so it's almost a relief to get some. I walk to the front counter and I hear Patty saying, "A woman called from Child Services. They are doing a home visitation today." Once I'm close, she shoots me a look and then hits a button, and suddenly Del Duke's voice is on speakerphone. "Well, it's pretty obvious that you don't live in my place." Patty only shrugs and says, "It's temporary." He says, "Why did we use my address? What's wrong with where you live?" Patty ignores the question and says, "Let's start by looking at your apartment." I hear Del slamming something, his fist into a file cabinet, his head on a desk. "I can't just leave. I mean, I'd have to take a sick day, or..." Patty hits the speakerphone release button and Del's voice is cut off. "Come and get us. We'll be here waiting," she says. She puts the receiver back onto the cradle and returns to her work. She says again, to no one in particular, "Temporary." Chapter 32. It isn't long before Del's Ford swerves into the parking lot. He gets out of the car as if his hair is on fire. I should be freaking out like Del, but I find myself mimicking Patty's attitude. My edges are gone. I am sea glass. If you look hard, you can see right through me. There isn't much discussion. Patty and I get in Del's car and we drive across town. 10 minutes later, we arrive at 257 Hempstead Lane, and I look at the apartment house. It appears to be a building constructed by a blind contractor who did not use an architect. The proportions of the place are all off, and not in a provocative kind of way. It looks like someone took an enormous box that painted it the color of Serratia marcescines, which are rod-shaped pink bacteria that grows in showers, and cut holes in the sides. I'm somehow not surprised that Del Duque lives here. We follow the counselor up the dark stairwell to the second floor, and when he opens the door, he's mumbling, "Now, I wasn't expecting company. I'm not prepared for visitors. I need to put a few things away." And then he quickly shoots like a trained hamster through a crazy maze of stuff. We hear a door shut in an unseen hallway, and I wonder what he needs to hide, because there's enough here in his living room that should mortify him. Del Duque is obviously one of those people who has issues throwing things away, and maybe he doesn't have a full-blown dysophobia, which is hoarding, but it's surely on the same playing field. The old me would have taken a lot of pleasure in a first-hand look at such a complex emotional condition, but now, not now. Patty and I stand in the entry and stare at the stacks of newspapers and magazines and mail surrounding the discount lawn furniture, which I decide is the exact color of a white rabbit's eyes, pink with yellow, with a drop of yellow mixed in. The complete patio set is called Masculine Salmon on the manufacturer's tag, is sticking out from one of the cheap metal chairs. It has cut distinct circles into the wall-to-wall carpeting. I step deeper into the room so that Patty can close the door, and I find myself next to an outdoor umbrella sitting encased in cloudy plastic. It's propped up against the wall. I feel its sadness. I trail behind Patty down a narrow path to the kitchen. Towers of sloppily rinsed microwave trays are on the counters. Off to the side, I see teetering columns of red disposable cups. I realize that I have not had great exposure to other people's way of living. I had never seen the kind of garage setup that the Nugents have going, and looking at this place, I understand that there are clearly whole lifestyles that have been kept from me. Del Duque is charting a different course. If this is what he has open, I'm curious to look into one of his closets. Patty must have had the same thought, because she moves out of the kitchen through the clutter of the living room and back to the tight hallway, and I follow, but with some caution. This looks like the kind of place where an unexpected exotic animal might just appear, the illegal kind that people buy on a whim in back rooms of pet stores, but then later set free in an alley because they can't control the razor-sharp claws or the eating demands. The door of the first bedroom is closed, but that doesn't stop Patty from turning the knob and opening it. We both see now Del stuffing an oily-looking sleeping bag into a nylon sack, but there are no dead bodies or anything, or at least not in plain sight. It's just a super messy room. Comic books and magazines strewn next to the bed, which doesn't even have sheets or a mattress pad. The necks of empty wine bottles poke out of the metal garbage can, the kind that should be outside, in the corner, and it only takes an instant for Patty to find the handle on the closet door, and Del shouts, "No!" But it's too late. Patty has opened the door to reveal a wall of underwear. There are hundreds of them. I used to enjoy estimating quantities, but not anymore, but I know with certainty that in the past this would have really interested me. Patty steps back as Del sputters, I'm behind on laundry." This is truly an understatement. Patty looks from Del to the underwear and then to me. It seems obvious that there's no way that it could ever appear that Patty and her kids live in this apartment, but I'm wrong. I'm not sure what flipped her switch, but maybe it's the size of the challenge. We're back in Del's dusty Ford, now heading, under Patty's direction, to the Salvation Army on Ming Street. Minutes later, we stand at the front counter of the second-hand store, and Patty has picked out a red Formica table with 4 nondescript dining chairs, a stuffed lemon-colored sofa, and a leather lounger that swivels in a complete circle. She has the tags for a metal-framed bunk bed, with a mattress that appears to at one time to have belonged to a military enthusiast, worn Semper Fi stickers to cover most of the railings, and it isn't until Del's credit card is out that he has the courage to ask, "How are we going to get all of this stuff back to my place?" Patty, without explanation, heads straight out the glass door to the sidewalk, leaving Del to complete the transaction. Del and I find her standing outside the curb next to the truck that says "We Haul." The 2 men who get out are named Esteban and Luis. They have well-developed packing skills, and it doesn't take them long until they have the furniture tied down in the back of a very worn-out-looking pickup. Upon arrival at the Garden of Glenwood, the 2 men carry everything up the flight of stairs to Del's apartment without even breaking a sweat. Patty supervises, Del stays out of the way, and I'm the silent observer. Now all we have to do is get rid of his junk. Patty thrusts a detailed list into Dell's hand and orders him to the market. Once he's gone, she positions me with Louise and Esteban in a line where we form a human chain. There are only 4 of us, but using this ancient means of transport, months of trash leaves the building. Dell returns 2 hours later, and most of his stuff is now in the building dumpsters. He said it was his plan to take it out to the recycling center, but I know he's lying. He doesn't seem upset that we got rid of his things, so I guess he's not a hoarder. He just has trouble with follow-through. Interesting. Sit on that until we begin reading again tomorrow.